Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 9th, 2020 legislative session for the Salisbury City Council. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone. During the meeting, should an emergency arise, please calmly proceed to the nearest exit out of the chamber, make a right-hand turn, go to the end of the hallway and down the stairs. If for some reason that exit is blocked, please exit the chamber, make a left-hand turn, then a right-hand turn, go down the end of the hall, and go down the stairs. If you need assistance, please ask and we'll be happy to provide it to you. Please do not use the elevators in case of an emergency. Also, we request that you turn off, except for the fire department, turn off all electronic devices that make noise, and once again, do not use the elevator in case there's an emergency. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome our former police chief and good friend of Salisbury, Bill Higgins. Bill?
Fire Chief.
Fire Chief. Good to see you. I'll now call on Senior Pastor Fred Duncan of Trinity United Methodist Church for our invocation.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to offer the invocation to your council meeting tonight. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. Let us be in an attitude of prayer. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for all who are gathered here tonight and for your abundant blessings upon us. We thank you for life itself, for good health that enables us to be here, as well as our need to fulfill our callings as servants in this community. We praise you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. We thank you as well for the freedom to offer this prayer in your name and to ask your blessing upon this council meeting. And of course, we thank you for your gracious nature that reveals to us your love that is never ending. In the Holy Scriptures, you have said that the citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace, order, and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor and for all the various city officials, and in particular for this assembled city council. I pray that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicted interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and the joy in their tasks. Lord, I pray for the agenda that has been set for tonight. Give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who work and live in and around our beloved city of Salisbury. And it is in your most blessed name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I'd love to stick around for your meeting, but I got a very sick lady in the hospital I need to go see. So thank you very much.
Duncan, appreciate it. Yep. Please rise now and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is one of those happy occasions and very good evenings that I look forward to. We have several presentations tonight. We'll start off with Fire Chief John Tull.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, President Heath, Mayor Day, members of the council for the opportunity to be here tonight. It is truly an honor for me to stand before you and honor the remarkable accomplishments of our department. Tonight, we will recognize several members for their outstanding and dedicated service to their community, often performing with little regard to concern for their own personal safety, but focused on the objection that is the mission of the fire service, the protection of life, property, and the environment. On November 22nd, 2019, at approximately 11:50 p.m., the Salisbury Fire Department was alerted for a residential fire alarm in the 1300 block of West Road. While the first unit was responding, the 911 center upgraded the call to a house fire, which brought additional Salisbury units along with Hebron fire units. Engine 16 arrived on the scene and found smoke and fire showing. Initial fire suppression activities began with hose line advancements into the structure. As crews worked on fire extinguishment, the crew of Truck 2 and Paramedic 16 conducted search operations throughout the structure. As Sergeant Tom Moore searched the master bedroom, he found an elderly female occupant on the floor between the bed and the dresser. Sergeant Moore radioed to other crews that he had found the occupant and needed additional assistance. Sergeant Zach Bridges and firefighter Lucas Cernell came to Sergeant Moore's assistance, and the three worked as a cohesive unit to remove the occupant from inside the structure to waiting EMS personnel. The occupant was provided advanced life support and transported to Peninsula Regional Medical Center, where she was later transferred to shock trauma and then later released. If it was not for our ability to assemble the right amount of personnel on the scene and for the prompt actions of those involved, the outcome could have been very different. On behalf of the department, it is my honor to present each of the following individuals with the City of Salisbury Fire Department Unit Citation Award in recognition of their exceptional outstanding achievement, whereby the designated unit is clearly set above and apart from other units. From Engine 16, Captain James Jester. Firefighter Paramedic Christopher Ballston. Firefighter EMT Kevin Bailey. From Paramedic 16, Firefighter Paramedic Brandon Hoppus. The crew of Truck 2, Firefighter EMT Jeff Jewell. Firefighter Paramedic Wade Fletcher. Firefighter EMT Corey Allensworth. Firefighter EMT Kalen Peabody. From Paramedic 2, Firefighter Paramedic Ginger Fippen. Firefighter EMT Jacob Travers. From Engine 1, Firefighter EMT James Gardner. Firefighter EMT Matthew Jones. Additionally, on behalf of the department, it is my honor to present the following individuals with the City of Salisbury Fire Department Departmental Commendation, which is awarded to members who, in the course of firefighting and rescue operation, performed acts of exceptional intelligence, alertness, and vigilance in direct firefighting while saving or attempting to save the lives of others. Sergeant Tom Moore. Sergeant Zach Bridges. Firefighter EMT Lucas Turnell. Congratulations.
Turn sideways. There you go. Now you got it. And these guys turn that way.
But not all the way.
There you go.
A little more, guys. I'm sorry. I wish I could zoom out that way.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Chief. Junior firefighter right there, future firefighter.
Cute.
That's great. Congratulations to those young men and women. Mr. Mayor, we have a proclamation.
Mr. President, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a proclamation. In fact, we have two today. I know one is on our agenda, and one was going to be later in the month, but we felt it fitting to do now. So the first proclamation tonight is this is the first time, I believe, we've read this proclamation. Whereas the public procurement profession plays a significant role in the efficiency and effectiveness of both government and business, and in addition to the purchase of goods and services, procurement adds value to our organization by performing functions such as executing, implementing, and administering contracts, developing strategic procurement strategies, and cultivating working relationships with suppliers and other departments within the organization. The City of Salisbury Procurement Department and our city at large recognizes, supports, and practices the public procurement values and guiding principles of accountability, ethics, impartiality, professionalism, service, and transparency established by the Institute for Public Procurement as fundamental tenets of the public procurement profession. And the Institute for Public Procurement has proclaimed the month of March as Procurement Month to further expand the awareness of the procurement professional's role to governmental officials, the general public, business, and corporate leaders. Now, therefore, I, Jacob Arday, Mayor of the City of Salisbury, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2020 as Procurement Month in the City of Salisbury, and I urge all citizens to join the city in recognizing the vital role of our procurement department as it manages the daily operations of our city. And I have with us three of the members of the procurement department. Procurement Director, why don't you come up here? Jennifer Miller, Michael Lowe, and Meg. I'm going to butcher your last name, I always do. Lindikins, I always want to say Lindikins. And I knew I was going to get that wrong, whichever one I chose. But Meg, Michael, and Jennifer make up part of the team that is busy ensuring that we are using every dollar to its furthest extent in the city of Salisbury. And I'm probably not going to get the numbers right, but I'm going to try if that's all right. We have an objective, a goal of protecting the amount of dollars kept locally in our economy. And local spend is a figure that you all are tracking on a regular basis. And is it 12% that we've achieved of late?
Double that.
24%. All right.
Nice.
So, and do you want to add anything?
I sure can.
Please.
Sure. So I actually wanted just to take a minute to thank a few folks, the City Council, the public, and our respective departments, because without your trust and confidence in what we do every day, it would make our job a lot harder. So this month, the National Procurement Month is being celebrated across the U.S. at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. And it's a recognition of this really exciting field that does bring a lot to the table for governmental efficiency and effectiveness. So I just want to thank everybody. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
And not only that, I do want to mention that the procurement department also tracks how much money is saved as a result of our competitive bidding processes. And that number, which I'm also not even going to venture a guess at, is in the millions this year. And that is?
As a number?
As a number?
Yeah, so right now it's over $3.5 million. It's probably closer to about $3.7 million because we did have at least one very large project this year. It was the Fitzwater Street lift station improvements, and the savings on that particular project was very substantial. Yeah.
Can we get a picture?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. So I do have one other proclamation I'd like to read. And this is in conjunction with Women's History Month. And in addition to that, International Women's Day. We're recognizing these events in the city of Salisbury. And Meg, before you go too far, don't go too far. Just 2 more seconds. That's all right. We're celebrating this day as it's been observed since 1911 and serves as a reminder of the important progress that women have made towards equality in areas such as academia and athletics, as well as government, politics, and business. Women's Day is an opportunity to acknowledge and amplify the progress made to advance women's equality and to expand opportunities for women in today's society. Women of all races, classes, and ethnic backgrounds have made massive contributions to the growth and strength of Salisbury in countless ways and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in our communities, our businesses, and our families. And the city is proud to promote the role of women-owned businesses in our community and of all women by empowering those businesses and those community endeavors and initiatives to grow, create jobs, serve community members and needs, and generate wealth in the city of Salisbury and surrounding economies. And so now, therefore, I, Jacob Arday, Mayor of the City of Salisbury, do hereby proclaim March 9th as Women's Day in our city, as we reflect back and honor the many women in history who have fought and achieved incredible success, not just in Salisbury, but worldwide. And I thought I'd just ask all the city employees, the women, to stand up. So before you left, we just want to acknowledge you and thank you for your service to our community. Michelle and everyone else along. Thank you. I'm sorry to hold you up. I just didn't want to leave you out. Absolutely. I think I would just note anecdotally that we can be proud as a city that not only 3 of our 6 elected officials are women, but also the city's chief operating officer, our city administrator, our city clerk, our director of waterworks, our director of procurement, our police chief, our chief engineer, the director of infrastructure and development, and on and on and on. We are a city that is led by many women, and to them, I say thank you.
Fantastic. We have one more presentation tonight, which I'm looking forward to. It's on the OC Wind project, and Brady Walker from Orsted Mid-Atlantic, marketing manager, is going to enlighten us.
Well, good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the invitation to be here this evening. My name is Brady Walker, and I, along with my colleague Megan Outen, who you'll hear from in a few minutes, work as part of the Mid-Atlantic Markets team for Orsted. And we are delighted to be here this evening to first tell you a little bit about our company and then get into sort of a description of our Skipjack wind farm project, which is located off the coast of Delaware. And then Megan will tell you a little bit about our work here in the local community. So let's see if this will work. Ooh. So first, just a little bit about Orsted. 25 plus year history in the offshore wind business. The world's first offshore wind farm in Vinby in 1991. America's first offshore wind farm built back in 2016, which is off the coast of Rhode Island and Block Island. And also the world's largest wind farm, 659 megawatts, all told close to 1,200 turbines spinning across the world in about 25 offshore wind farms in operation. I know that there are a number of names out there that you might have heard, so just a moment to sort of clarify that a little bit. The Skipjack wind farm project was initially conceived and developed by a company called Deepwater Wind, which about 18 months ago was acquired by Orsted, and really a great sort of merger of some really terrific development and permitting talent in the Deepwater Wind team, many of whom remain with the Orsted team in Providence and Annapolis, coupled with Orsted's longstanding experience and excellent track record across the world in developing these projects. So the next question we get is sort of why offshore wind, why this industry in the United States? And this is one of my favorite slides in this presentation. It really sort of illustrates very effectively the answer to that question, which is first, there on the left, enormous demand up and down the mid-Atlantic and northeast corridors along the east coast of the United States, very densely populated cities, and sort of limited opportunity to develop large-scale generation and transmission facilities as a result of that. The second reason in the middle there are very favorable wind speeds and conditions that really stretch from North Carolina all the way up to off the coast of Maine, and as you can see, they sort of increase in intensity the farther north we get. And the third reason is a very large continental shelf off the coast, which allows us to secure our foundations to the ocean floor in an effective and efficient way. Apologize, this is a little bit difficult to see, but this is sort of an illustration of the many states up and down the East Coast, like the state of Maryland, which have issued requirements for state procurements for renewable energy, in particular offshore wind power, over the last many years. And so you can sort of see in purple there, those are the current requirements that states have assigned themselves. And then in the blue are what they have procured so far. So this is an evolving industry and evolving targets there as more and more states either come online with their own renewable standards or and then seek to achieve the goals that they've already set for themselves. So you see those little blue and gray areas off the coast there. Those are the wind energy areas as designated by the federal government. And those you can see in blue are where there is current either turbines spinning only off the coast of Rhode Island or projects in development. And then this one, even more difficult to see, are Ørsted's projects and presence thus far in the United States. And so you see only one in operation, a 30 megawatt facility, 5 turbines off the coast of Block Island, several projects awarded, and a few more under development and procurements underway, sort of on a regular basis, regular intervals. And so to talk a little bit about the Skipjack wind farm, you can see the lease area there located at its closest point, 17 miles off the coast of Delaware. Right now, our project is a 120 megawatt project planned to provide clean energy to about 35,000 homes. And the closest turbine to the coast there, which we'll get to in a little bit with a rendering, is 19 miles from the coast. And so you can see a little bit of timeline there. We're in the permitting process now. Expect approvals in 2021, installation in 2022, and online by probably the end of 2022, early 2023, in line with the Maryland law in that regard. So the turbine we're planning to use for this project is the GE Haliade 12 megawatt machine. It is the largest, most efficient, most innovative, most technologically advanced turbine in the world. It is approximately 853 feet tall. That is from the water line to the tip of the blade at its highest point. You can see there some sort of facts and figures. Their distance is about just under 100 feet from the rotor at the lowest point to the water, about 200 feet of foundation and tower facility below the water line. So a large, very efficient machine. And then here we have 2 renderings here from the closest point in Delaware to our wind farm, about 19 miles off the coast. You can sort of see a rendering there. We can make these slides available for you so you can take a closer look. But that's sort of a rendering on the clearest possible day, what the wind farm will look like from shore, and then about 22 miles, 21 and a half from Ocean City there. And here is just another sort of illustration. You can see that bottom area there is the Skipjack lease area where our project's planned, sort of in the bottom right-hand corner of that area outlined in dark blue. And then we'll bring the power in through cable from the wind farm into Fenwick Island. Meg? we're happy to take questions as well.
All right, so this is the part of the slide where I get the most excited because I'm not only just a member of the Skipjack Wind Farm team, I'm a member of this community. So born and raised here in Salisbury, Maryland, and I'm excited to see an industry like this really take foot here in my home state. There we go. So I think these two headlines really say a lot about what this industry can bring to the Eastern Shore. On the right there, you have Katarina Enerfelt, president of Archon, signing a deal with British company to bring offshore wind training here to Salisbury, which I think is really exciting. And then on the left is a highlight for a supplier day that we hosted recently in February. And we actually have another supplier day coming up in March. And it's just an opportunity for local businesses, Maryland businesses, to ask questions and find out where they can actually slip into this project and into this industry. So just kind of a slide to show you guys that offshore wind farm isn't just the turbine. So there's a lot of opportunity here for businesses to slide in. I know the wording's a little hard to see, but we have the onshore substation where the wind farm will connect. We've got export cables, we have array cables in the foundation, as well as the turbine. So many businesses that have an opportunity to slide into this and be a part of the supply chain, not just for this project, but for future projects as well. So this isn't just about building turbines. This is about investing in Maryland, investing in our state. So the Skipjack Wind Farm is essentially establishing Maryland as a regional hub for offshore wind construction. We're generating millions in economic benefit for the state, and we're going to create roughly 1,400 jobs for Marylanders here from the development of the project, which is right now, through the operation of the Skipjack project. And just some extra facts on investing in Maryland. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Matt Drew on the right side of this picture here is actually local here in Salisbury as well, and he's also a member of Skipjack. And here he's actually signing a foundation for the Trade Point Atlantic building that's going to be going up. That's going to be our offshore wind hub up in Baltimore. And just some facts, Ørsted's going to invest $38 million in in-state port and fabrication facilities at the Port of Baltimore. And the Port of Baltimore is going to be a location for outfitting survey vessels, receiving shipments and components for the assembly and storage, and the marshaling and loading the vessels. So a cool thing to know about these turbines is the blades are actually going to be so large that we're not going to be able to take these down highways. A lot of them are going to be shipped out from the Port of Baltimore, go down the Chesapeake Bay, and then come right back up to Ocean City, Bethany Beach area. So the Port of Baltimore is going to play a crucial part in this project here. And this kind of just goes over here what I do. So I should have introduced myself earlier. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Skipjack Wind Farm. And so with a project of this size, we're aware that this takes a lot of engagement in the local community, providing an outlet and an open dialogue for everyone here. So that's the local community, nonprofits, the fishing community here, academic universities such as University of Delaware, University of Maryland, Salisbury. This isn't just a project that requires one voice. It's bringing multiple voices together in this community to make sure that this is a successful project. And speaking of partnerships, this is something that I am pretty proud of in terms of what Ørsted has accomplished here in the offshore wind industry. Last year, Ørsted announced the RODA partnership, which stands for Responsible Offshore Development Alliance. And it says right there, it really is a one of its kind and first of its kind partnership. And essentially what it does is it provides a table and an opportunity for the fishing industry, the commercial and recreational fishing industry, to come to the table with the developers like Ørsted and really develop a dialogue on how to, efficiently and sustainably develop these projects on the coastline here. So some outreach philosophy. I could go down this whole entire list here, but the one thing that I really want to highlight is the most important to me as an outreach coordinator is to, at the bottom there, be accessible and be available at all times. And we really strive to make sure that we're connected with the local communities. And whenever you guys need to reach out to me, I'm a phone call away, I'm an email away. And we're just going to wrap it up. If anyone has any questions, I don't know if it's open for questions, but.
Questions?
I have a couple.
Mr. Mayor?
So the Skipjack Wind area is a Delaware lease area.
Yeah, I'm going to
Correct.
actually go back to that too. It's always good for reference. So that's actually federal waters out there.
Okay.
Maryland has agreed to purchase the energy, which is why it's a Maryland project, but out that distance, we're actually in federal waters.
So the 1,400 jobs projected to be created through Skipjack in Maryland, does that contribute toward the Maryland required?
The 34%. Yeah.
400 jobs or so that were estimated to be created as a part of the OREC process?
Brady, do you have any on in terms of the jobs?
Yeah. Industry-wide projection
Or the
for that?
Yeah,
project specific.
Not project specific. So I'm wondering if that. So my understanding was that the Maryland, or under Maryland law, a certain number of jobs industry-wide were required to be created in Maryland. I don't remember if those were differentiated between permanent or construction jobs, and maybe you can speak to that. But what I do recall is that some number, and I was wondering if, given that this was in federal waters, but not directly off the Maryland coast, is this included in that? Are these Maryland?
Yeah,
OREC?
absolutely. So this project, the Skipjack project in particular, will generate about 900 construction jobs and about 400 permanent full-time jobs that will last the lifetime of the project at least. So that 1,400 number will contribute to the larger sort of industry requirement.
Okay.
So that's just sort of what's.
Sorry, when you talk, he wants you
That's
to
what's
hit the mic.
that's what's expected for this project at this point. And I will just one more note on these lease areas. They were designated by the federal government, so they are in federal waters, as Megan said, but they are named after the states whose coasts they're off, and so there's a Maryland wind energy area and a Delaware wind energy area, and so on and so forth up the East Coast. So there's a little bit of confusion there, but yeah.
I guess the second question that I have is just with respect to the Maryland PSC process that took a turn or a step back this summer. Can you enlighten us as to where that's at?
Sure. So the PSC held a hearing in mid-January to solicit public input and comment on the turbine size, and subsequent to that have opened an evidentiary hearing, which will allow us the opportunity to present some more technical data about that turbine. They want to be sure that we've gotten it right, and we look forward to that opportunity to present all that information to the PSC this spring. Yep.
And is that is that limited to the Skipjack area, or is it broader than that?
There are two proceedings.
Okay.
One for a project located south of ours, and one for the Skipjack project. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions? Thank you very much. And can you get us a copy of the presentation?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
While we're at it, Mr. President,
Yes.
if I may, just a bit of an editorial. I think, again, just looking at the jobs already being created with AIS, which is that training company, and it's not limited to Salisbury. I mean, we just learned that AIS is doing their part of their deepwater training in Snow Hill at the Worcester County YMCA, I believe, or the YMCA that's located down there. The training that's already occurring, the partnerships with Archon, Toroid, I look at this as, again, being good for us on the basis of potential job creation locally. And, I think we have to keep in while I don't want to ever say to our friends to the east, what they should be doing off of their coast, let's remember that we are one. It's, the Salisbury metro area is, one economy inclusive of Sussex, Worcester, Wacomico, and Somerset counties, and probably post-2020 more counties. And so I would just say that, one thing to bear in mind there is that in 2019, the tourism portion of the economy was $1.8 billion. The manufacturing portion of the economy was $2.8 billion. So we shouldn't turn our nose up at the potential impact of increased manufacturing in the area. people think manufacturing's gone. It certainly isn't.
Yeah. And I could add to that, it's the right thing to do. So, thank you very much for the presentation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the legislative agenda.
So moved.
Ms. Blake, Mr. Boda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Gregory.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On the consent agenda tonight, we have the February 18th, 2020 special meeting minutes, February 18th, 2020 work session minutes, February 24th, 2020 legislative session minutes, and the March 7th, 2020 work session minutes. Resolution number 3010, approving the reappointment of Bradley Phillips to the Salisbury Historic District Commission for the term ending February 2023. Resolution number 3011, approving the reappointment of Stephen Bullock to the Disability Advisory Committee for term ending March 2022. Resolution number 3012, approving the reappointment of Amy Kraus to the Disability Advisory Committee for term ending March 2023. Resolution number 3013, approving the reappointment of Nestor Bleach to the Revolving Loan Advisory Committee for the term ending March 2024. Resolution number 3014, approving the reappointment of Karen Lux to the Salisbury Zoo Commission for the term ending March 2023. Resolution number 3015, approving the appointment of Donald Pulver to the Salisbury Zoo Commission for the term ending March 2022. Resolution number 3016, to update the employee handbook by amending Chapter 4. And resolution number 3017, accepting a donation of a Halsey Taylor outdoor Hydro Boost bottle filling station with side drinking fountain from the Salisbury Zoo Commission for the Salisbury Zoological Park. And that's it for the consent agenda.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those to approve the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. If I call your name and you're here, please stand. Bradley Phillips, Stephen Bullock, Amy Kraus, Nestor Bleach, Karen Lutz, and Donald Pulver. Thank you very much for volunteering. And we appreciate, we take for granted these people, and I think that we need to make sure that for them to step up and volunteer, it's very noteworthy. So thank you very much. And thank you to the Zoo Commission for the water fountain. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 3018.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Blake, Ms. Gregory. Ms. Glanz, how are you?
Good evening, doing well, thank you.
Evening.
Resolution number 3018, a resolution of the City of Salisbury accepting the donation of the real property located at 617 West Isabella Street, Salisbury, Maryland 21801, from Artie B. Williams. Whereas the donor, owner Artie B. Williams, desires to donate real property located at 617 West Isabella Street, Salisbury, Maryland 21801, by deed dated June 9th, 1993. And recorded in the Wycomico County, Maryland Land Records in Liber 1341, folio 229. And whereas there are outstanding charges due to the City of Salisbury for this property in the amount of $470, and whereas there are real estate taxes owed to this property to Wycomico County for $36.65, and whereas the City of Salisbury is interested in obtaining foreclosed and/or abandoned properties which create a blighting influence on our neighborhoods, so that said properties may either be rehabilitated for resale or demolished to make way for new construction.
Question, excuse me, questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of resolution number 3018, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 3019.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Gregory.
Resolution number 3019, a resolution of the City of Salisbury, Maryland for the purpose of surplusing a portion of the city-owned property located on East Market Street, Salisbury, Maryland 21801, and approving a contract to sell the surplus property to the state of Maryland for a contract price. Whereas the City of Salisbury owns property known as 312 East Market Street in Salisbury, Maryland, map 107, parcel 904, which is now part of a remnant parcel. And whereas the State Highway Administration, SHA, is widening US Route 13 and making improvements of areas adjacent to US Route 13. And whereas SHA has presented an option contract to purchase a portion of parcel 904 from the city, said portion being 0.077 acres. And whereas the Director of Procurement has recommended that this 0.077 portion of the property be surplused, and whereas the City of Salisbury acquired the parcel by deed dated March 2nd, 1982, and recorded in Wycomico County, Maryland Land Records in Lieber 970, folio 629, and whereas the square footage of this vacant land is only 3,346 feet, and does not make it a buildable lot. And whereas this sale is exempt from competitive bidding pursuant to the Salisbury Municipal Charter 16-3A9, which provides an exemption for contracts in which the city receives a contract price negotiated by the state, county, or other governmental entity pursuant to a valid contract and pursuant to Salisbury Municipal Code Section 2.36.090B.
Any questions? Okay. I'll call the motion. All those in favor of resolution number 3019, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you, Ms. Clance. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2583 for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Blake, Ms. Gregory. Mr. Tillman, good evening.
Good evening. This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury requiring that certain single-user restrooms in the city be made available to all individuals regardless of gender, requiring that certain single-user restrooms use gender-inclusive signage to identify the restroom, and defining certain terms, establishing certain penalties, and providing for a special effective date. Whereas the City of Salisbury seeks to provide all citizens privacy and safety with regard to being able to utilize available single-user restrooms, and whereas requiring certain single-user restrooms to be made available for anybody's use will further protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury that the municipal code of the City of Salisbury is hereby amended by adding a new chapter 9.12 to Title 9, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare, to read as follows. This was previously read. You want me to go through the definitions again, or?
No, I don't think it's necessary to do that.
Basically, it establishes that, defines gender-inclusive signage, meaning signs identifying the restroom that does not indicate a specific gender, such as restroom, bathroom, toilet, family use restroom, or gender-neutral, gender-inclusive, or symbol indicating that restroom is available by use for anyone. And this is applying to single-use bathrooms, not ones where multiple people would be in attendance. And there's, specific violations also provided down in there under enforcement by citation for people that fail to comply.
Any questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2583 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2584 for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Gregory. Mr. Tillman.
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving a budget amendment of the FY20 general fund budget to appropriate insurance proceeds received in FY20 toward the purchase of a new vehicle for the police fleet. Whereas the Salisbury Police Unit 1601, a 2014 Ford Fusion, was involved in a motor vehicle accident, declared a total loss, and whereas insurance proceeds from the loss of Unit 1601 total $12,300, and whereas the city's police unit 1482, a 2014 Chevrolet Caprice, was involved in a motor vehicle accident and declared a total loss, and whereas insurance proceeds from the loss of that unit total $12,456, and whereas the Salisbury Police Department is requesting that the insurance proceeds for vehicle 1601 and 1482 in the amount of $24,756 be placed in police services vehicle account. And whereas the Salisbury Police Department will utilize the funds appropriated from the insurance proceeds toward the purchase of a new vehicle for the Salisbury Police Department, and whereas appropriations necessary for the vehicle purchase must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and approval of 4/5 of the council of the city of Salisbury, now therefore be it ordained by the city council of the city of Salisbury, the city's fiscal year 2020 general fund budget is amended as follows. Insurance increase insurance proceeds by $24,756. Increase the police department service vehicle account by an equivalent amount.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2584 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. The vote is 4-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2585 for the second reading.
So moved.
Ms. Blake?
Second.
Ms. Gregory? Mr. Tillman?
This is an ordinance of the city of Salisbury to amend chapter 2.32 purchases and sales, to amend the procedure for public notice and bids, and to add contract change orders, and to amend chapter 2.36 disposition of surplus or unused real property, and to amend the definitions of cost and inventory of surplus supplies, and to amend the procedure for the selection and award of proposals and bids. Whereas the ongoing application, administration, enforcement of Title II demonstrates a need for periodic review, evaluation, and amendment that will keep Title II current, and whereas the Director of Procurement may amend the rules adopted pursuant to Chapter 2.32 purchases and sales of the Salisbury Municipal Code in accordance with specific provisions of 2.32.090, and whereas the Mayor and City Council requested that the Director of Procurement review Chapters 2.32 and 2.36 in light of existing procedural practice and input from the City Council and Department Directors, and whereas the Salisbury Municipal Code contains requirements for competitive bidding and awarding of contracts and requires council approval for all contracts in excess of $100,000, and whereas after a contract award has been approved by the council, contracts sometimes require changes that may alter the work to be performed, the time frame of the project, and the cost of the contract, known as change orders, and whereas there is currently no provision in the Salisbury Municipal Code that requires council approval of change orders, and whereas the procedure and selection for disposition of surplus property contains references to bids and proposals in different sections of 2.36, and whereas disposition of unused real estate currently mandates the inclusion of certain provisions in a disposition contract, and later requires that said provision shall be included as considered appropriate by the council. This ordinance is intended to clarify the discretion afforded to the council, and whereas the Director of Procurement has recommended and the Mayor and City Council desire to add a requirement for the council approval of certain construction contract change orders to add bids and proposals to all sections of 2.36, and to clarify that for the disposition contract for the disposition of unused real property, the city will approve those provisions deemed necessary by the council. Now therefore be it enacted and ordained by the city of Salisbury that chapters 2.32 and 2.36 of the code be amended as follows. And in the beginning, the changes that you see are really just changing the name of the director from the prior office to the current office. We're also under subsection C at line 81. There is a inclusion of allowing electronic media, not just the published in the newspaper. And the notices will be made available to persons listed on the city's list of prospective bidders, and that just changing again the terminology from invitation to bid to the notice, changing again the director's name, and then down under subsection 3, the notice shall contain a description of the project or purchase being sought, the availability and location, specifications, where bids must be submitted, the deadline for submitting bids, and the time and place of a bid opening, and a statement indicating that the city reserves the right to reject all bids submitted. And then as we follow in line 101, we're back to changing the name of the office head again. And that continues on to the next page. And we skip one that has no changes. We again just change of the director's name. And let's see. I guess what the other significant next issue would be under 2.32.080, disposition of surplus supplies. We're basically changing the threshold to the $2,000 historical cost of the item that would require the process to be applied, and anything less than that would be handled by the department heads. And the change order provision that comes up under 2.32.85 basically says that where there's a change order that now reaches the cumulative total of 20% of a contract that had to be approved by the council, it will come to the attention of the council for approval of that threshold of change. And then the other thing, I guess, where we're getting into a significant change would be under the award of bid and the, let's see.
070, 2.3607.
Yes, 070, the city shall make an award by resolution and proceed to sell or dispose of property pursuant to the terms of the contract. And it's basically the disposition contract itself. There was some ambiguity in the way the code was previously worded, and now it just makes it clear that the council will decide upon approving such a contract what's going to be required of the purchaser.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2585 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2586 for the first reading.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Blake, Mr. Tillman.
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving an amendment of the city's capital project fund budget fund to provide additional funding for a bathroom addition project. Whereas ordinance 2339 FY20 budget authorized the transfer of $51,000 from the general fund to the pay-go to the general capital project fund to provide funds for a bathroom addition at the Paleo Water Treatment Plant, and whereas the Waterworks Department has estimated that an additional $9,872 is needed to complete the project, and whereas the Finance Department has determined that $9,872 is available in unallocated interest earned on funds in the same pool of capital projects, and whereas appropriations necessary for the additional fund for the bathroom project must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and approval of 4/5 of the council of the city of Salisbury. Now therefore be it ordained by the city council of the city of Salisbury that the city's capital project fund budget be and is hereby amended as follows. And then there's a chart showing where the money is coming from and where it is to go. And it's a total of $9,872.
Okay, any questions or comments? Definitely needed. If you've been there, definitely needed. All those I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2586 for the first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The vote is 4-0. Mrs. Nichols, do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
I do notice that I think we have a group of students here tonight. From whose class? Ah,
Communication.
okay, okay. Yes,
I just wanted to thank the council for their support to the gender inclusive legislation. I think you all should be really proud of passing that. We're the second city in Maryland, only second to Baltimore, that has passed that. So I think that's pretty monumental for Salisbury and for the Eastern Shore. And I know I've got a smile on my face for it, so thank you.
great. Thank you guys for coming and sticking out the entire meeting. We appreciate it. Just a reminder, if you're going to get us the copy of the presentation, I'd appreciate it.
Do you all have a project where you have to interview an elected official?
Yes.
So start scheduling those now.
Yeah,
Early.
please.
Because we will tell you.
The last day,
If, like the last 2 weeks of the term, students were trying to get with us, and
Yeah.
I think some students didn't get it done because there was nobody available, so.
yeah. Yeah, and it's not that we don't want to do it, we all do, but it's just, we have a schedule that comes up, and so get it in early. You've got our emails, I'm sure.
I got some cards here if you all want some.
You've also got them trapped right now.
We're trapped. Dun, dun, dun.
I'm the most trapped of all of them. Those guys have that exit. I don't.
My secretary, my wife is in the back, she will schedule. Supervisor. All right, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.